a new princess, and her name is Halle Bailey.
I pinch myself every day on that set because, to be a part of such a historic film that we all have known growing up, it's like, wow, what can we do to make this even greater than it already is, because it's such an amazing base, and I'm just...
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Before we begin with the video, be sure to subscribe and like this video if you enjoy it, and check out any of my other videos. Now with all that out of the way, let us begin with today's video. As you all know by now, Halle Bailey, known for being one of the sisters in Chloe and Halle, and has a recurring role in Grownish, is a gorgeous black girl who was announced to be playing Ariel in Disney's live action The Little Mermaid, that was which was originally released in 1989. As you may know, the teaser trailer for the film, set to be released in May of 2023, was released a few weeks ago and has caused so much online discussion on social media, especially considering the teaser video was a few mere seconds of Halle singing the opening line of Part of That World, one of the most iconic songs from The Little Mermaid. With that being said, in today's video, I thought it would be interesting to discuss Halle's role as a Little Mermaid and what that means culturally. We'll also talk further about the discussion of black representation and desirability, and delve deeper into Disney princess films in general. So with all that being said, let's begin. Little Mermaid, and she was announced to be playing this role in 2018. And for those who have been keeping up with the updates on this film will know that it's been a long but fun wait, but at last the film's release is almost around the corner. Before we discuss black representation and how this relates to Halle, I thought sharing my own opinion on her casting would be integral, especially as this is, my video. So personally, I'm undeniably excited for Halle, and I'm so enthusiastic about seeing her on the big screen. I think it's fundamentally important to see people of color and black people on the big screen, not only because it helps increase the probability of seeing more black actors, but in this context, Halle playing the Little Mermaid is going to inspire and bring joy to thousands of young black girls and guys. Representation matters. It's important to see people that look like yourself, and it also opens up the discussion that representation when it comes to black people on this big screen hasn't always been the greatest. I'll touch on that a bit later, but yeah, Halle being the Little Mermaid is a genius casting. I mean, not only does she have a gorgeous singing voice that she'll be showcasing throughout the film, but she really has that princess look. I have no doubt that she's going to be a brilliant mermaid. As a young black girl, I cannot express how excited I am. Not to mention, I'm the biggest advocate for more happy black films. Now, you may be asking, what is happy black films? Well, let me explain. When I say I want more black films, I mean I want them to be centered around happiness. I want black coming of age films, I want black rom-coms and black comedies, and whilst there are black happy films that exist, a lot of the films in cinema seem to be centered around slavery or some form of black pain. In fact, the gorgeous Marseille Martin shared a similar sentiment in an interview where she said, Marseille says, quote, I have a couple of rules when you come into my office. When you come into my office, don't give me this. I don't want no black pain. If it's black pain, I don't go for it because there's so many films and projects about that. So that's not who I am, she explained. Furthermore, not only do I agree with her, but I find it a bit of a cop-out to constantly make films on slavery, struggle love, or films on civil rights activists. I'm thinking the likes of Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela. Whilst these films are important to be made because they are parts of history, I do believe that these same rehashed slavery films are beginning to become redundant. I do believe it has gotten to the point where I've actively avoided consuming these types of films and shows. I think balance is key in life, and I believe in the cinema, seeing more happy black films is the way to go. These types of films exist, but I want more of them to be released. In fact, if we look at the 2018 Marvel film, Black Panther, look at how many black people rallied around and supported the film. The TikTok videos and tweets and the huge cultural phenomenon sensation surrounding the film was huge and monumental. I can never forget how legendary and how much of a cultural phenomenon was when it was released in 2018. I believe that black people as a whole really do go out to support black films, and I have no doubt the same will be done for the 2023 Little Mermaid live adaptation with Halle. Earlier, these black pain films are overdone. There is nothing wrong with enjoying an old Tyler Perry film, but constantly seeing Hollywood think putting out 250 slavery films is enough diversity is not enough. I will say that there are so many great happy black films in the last few years, which is amazing. If we look at the 2022 film Jordan Peele's Nope, with two black dark skinned leads, or Issa Rae's series that she does, the Chewing Gum series, and many others, it's great to see these films. But essentially, the point I'm getting at is that I just want so much more happy black plot lines in cinema, because there are some, but I want there to be an increase of that. And I do feel that perhaps with the inevitable success of Halle's The Little Mermaid, this will mean that there'll be more kind of black happy films, because like I said, there does not need to be 5,000 slavery films. I think we get it now. You're free to enjoy watching those things, but I don't particularly enjoy watching them just because there's been so much over the years. But yeah, I also do want to acknowledge that there are really a lot of good happy black films, such as Issa Rae's stuff, which is amazing. So yeah, a bit on black representation, I think we should also speak about Disney as a whole. Halle is going to be the Little Mermaid, and naturally she's going to be a Disney princess. And so I think we should look at other Disney princesses and Disney live actions in general. I think the biggest thing to look at when we're talking about black representation is looking at the non-white Disney princesses. As we all know, Disney has a caliber of iconic princesses, in my opinion. And as an 18-year-old, the likes of The Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Brave, etc. are all films I grew up watching as a child. I even recall having a Princess Tiana cookbook when I was 8 years old because I was so in love with Princess and the Frog. That not only shows you how important representation is, but it also shows you how much I love Disney princesses, and I still do. In the context of this video, we know that the non-white princesses are Princess Jasmine, Pocahontas, Tiana, and Mulan. These are all the Disney princesses films that were made in the late 90s. Of course, we also have the princesses like Moana, Encanto, etc. However, we will speak about those films a little bit later in this video. Now, in each of these films, we could argue, although these films are nostalgic, I mean, the track list in Princess and the Frog and Aladdin are so catchy, and I think that's something we can give credit to Disney for. The music in a lot of Disney films are incredibly catchy. However, there is an important discussion to be had surrounding the plotline of Disney films when it comes to their people of color princesses. For example, a video creator made a video about the historical inaccuracies of Aladdin. Essentially, they spoke about how Aladdin was a film with a mix of Middle Eastern and South Asian cultures mixed into one. I recommend watching that video to get a deeper insight into some of the historical inaccuracies of Aladdin, as I won't be touching too much on that in today's video. So yeah, I'll have the video linked in the description box and it will be on the screen as well. However, going back to my point, it is inherently lazy to take two different cultures and then make your own plotline, especially because of the cultural aspect of Aladdin and how the location of the film is set in the desert. So we assume that Aladdin is of kind of Middle Eastern descent. In fact, the Diamondback says it perfectly. They say, quote, "The original Aladdin, and therefore this Aladdin, is peak Orientalism, where films optimize white people's romanticized perceptions of the mysterious Eastern Orient, rather than acknowledge cultural facts and reality." The online form also goes on to say they weren't even people of color in the voice cast of the 1992 version. Ironically, Disney is famous for its dedication to authenticity. Animators took courses in marine biology before working on Finding Nemo, and visited Quebec and Norway just to get a feel of animating snow for Frozen. So this really does put a narrative that perhaps Disney wasn't being historically accurate with Aladdin. And like Diamondback pointed out, Disney is a multi-millionaire company, and the least they could do is do proper research and include authentic Arabic culture. It also presents this idea that when it comes to people of color, the corporation believes that they're not worthy of Disney doing their proper homework on the culture of the film. It's also interesting to note that due to Disney's mixing of two cultures, I only recently found out that Aladdin incorporated a lot of South Asian culture, when I've always been convinced the cultures in the film was purely Arabic, especially because of the line in the song Arabian Night. However, there are quite a few South Asian cultures in the film. For example, the website Tech Midis quotes that the Sultan's palace in Aladdin looked like it took inspiration from the Taj Mahal. And Jasmine in the 1992 animated adaptation of Aladdin is also wearing a lot of garments that look very similar to South Asian garments like saris, etc. I think it's safe to come to the conclusion that Aladdin is filled with Orientalism. This is disappointing coming from a multi-millionaire company like Disney. It also makes us question why Disney couldn't have done a better job at educating themselves. I think when we talk about Aladdin, which is a movie with great songs, and I do find it an enjoyable popcorn movie, it's important to acknowledge Disney's sloppiness when it comes to creating a cohesive cultural storyline. A lot of South Asian culture was just thrown into it, and Disney just mixed it as Arabic culture. We could argue, just like the website Diamondback said, it's interesting that in Frozen, which was set in a Norway Danish country, Disney made sure to be historically accurate. The same with Beauty and the Beast, where Belle is a French woman. When it comes to Aladdin, the sloppiness of the cultural history was apparent. If we look at another example of Princess and the Frog, and whilst I love that film to pieces, it's important to understand the problematic implications of making the first black princess a frog for half of the film. It's not only pathetic, but what other princess turns into an animal? Not to mention, although Disney got the historical accuracy of Tiana's story bang on, it's such a laughably cheap way of saying to everyone, hey, we're diverse, we have a black princess, but she's not even a black person for half the film. It is ridiculous. However, I can acknowledge that Tiana was a well fleshed out character. She was hardworking, wanted to start her own business, and she got her happy ever after, and her prince at the end of the film. The soundtrack in the film is also Chef's Kiss, but Disney making such a well-written character like Tiana a frog for most of the film was a travesty. I will say that Disney does need to make more black princesses, a proper one. And there are rumours that there will be another animated black princess, which is exciting news. Lastly, when looking at Disney princesses, we could argue that Disney does need to do better when it comes to their non-white princesses. I think it's important to critique something whilst also enjoying aspects of it, because Disney does have things it needs to work on, whilst also having so many great qualities. I loved Aladdin and I love The Princess and the Frog, but when we look deeper into these movies, beyond the catchy music and nice graphics, we understand Disney did a sloppy work with both films. If we want a final example, we can look at Pocahontas, but that's a whole can of worms that we won't discuss in today's video. So essentially, when we look at the history of Disney princesses, we can see that when it comes to people of color princesses, they didn't do the best job. And so because Halle is playing Ariel, and she is a black girl, I hope that Disney do a good job with this live action, and I also hope going forward that when they're making animated films for Disney princesses, they are more historically accurate and they actually do their homework essentially. Overall, to conclude on my topic of Disney POC princesses, I believe it's very Disney for their princesses to have their sugary, happy-go-lucky ending, with them getting together with their love interest and living their happily ever after. That's the appeal and desirability of Disney films, and that's why for a lot of people, Disney movies are so nostalgic. It's like sleeping with your favorite cuddly bear at night as a child. It's familiar and comforting. The nostalgia and appeal of Disney films are why live actions continue to and are still bringing money to the box office, because we all know by now that when something is highly profitable, Hollywood is going to continue to keep pumping them out. Those films I spoke about earlier, so Aladdin, Princess and the Frog, were all released over a few decades ago, and in recent years, especially in the mid to late 2010s, Disney has become more progressive with their Disney princesses. 2016's Moana featured Polynesian culture, and she had no love interest or Prince Charming at the end of the film. The 2013 Frozen film also had Elsa, the main character, with no love interest, and instead focused on Elsa's magic, ice powers, and about her self-growth story, hence the Let It Go song. We could argue that this is a good thing. Let It Go song. We can see that over the recent years, the normal Disney princess formula is changing and is becoming more progressive. We could argue this is a good thing, and with the recent success of Encanto, which was released this year, we can assume Disney are wanting to diversify and expand the different cultures they explore in their films. It's also good to deviate from the norm, and not have every single one of their plot lines have something to do with, finding a man or finding like their love interest. However, it does feel like Disney's progressive princesses do come across performative and try hard at times. Not to mention, the word woke and progressive don't always have the best connotations, and the perfect example of this is the 2020 Mulan live adaptation. Disney wanted to be more progressive and took away the original magic of the 1998 animated edition. Live action, they removed Mushu, the talking dragon, voiced by Eddie Murphy, and they also removed Mulan's love interest, Li Shang, whom she gets with after she fights in battle. I did watch half of the 2020 adaptation, and I can say that the film looked like any Chinese it looked like a Chinese run-of-the-mill war film. It didn't quite have that Disney magic, and it didn't remind me of Mulan in the slightest. Understandably, Disney wanted to make the Mulan adaptation progressive, but ended up angering people, and the movie was met with controversy and valid annoyance. It also flopped badly in China, which is where the film originates from. The woman who played Mulan also stirred controversy as well. The website CBR puts it best by saying, quote, "The filmmakers claimed that they were influenced by the Me Too movement, finding it appropriate for Mulan's love interest to be her commanding officer. Quote, "Most fans feel that the changes were unnecessary. While Shang is in a position of power over Mulan in the animated film, the two only got together after the war's over and Mulan is no longer a soldier. In spite of his attraction to her, Shang does not use his positions to pressure Mulan into a relationship. Instead, their relationship appears to be built on mutual respect and develops after they fight side by side to save the Emperor." So I think it's safe to say it was unnecessary to take out so many elements that made the film so desirable because they wanted to make it quote unquote more progressive. I think with social media sensitivity and the rise of people becoming more chronically online, a lot of corporations don't want to offend those that are chronically online. Not to mention as well, Li Shang is a good love interest for Mulan, and it seems as if they were overcomplicating the romance story between the two of them. Essentially, why make a problem out of nothing? And I think that's the problem with some of the recent Disney princess films that are progressive. In the 2020 adaptation, they got rid of Li Shang when really and truly there was no need to do that, and they still ended up giving Mulan a love interest in the 2020 adaptation. It just wasn't Li Shang, but there was nothing wrong with the original setup between Li Shang and Mulan. Furthermore, you could argue that Disney films are also essentially a form of escapism. The films are very stereotypical. They have a lot of stereotypical archetypes, but the appeal of Disney is the fact that they embrace that silliness. It's also just very nostalgic and comforting to watch a Disney film. The plot lines, overcomplicating plot lines for work points is unnecessary, and you could argue that Disney are just overcomplicating things for no reason. In the live gave Mulan superpowers, which was nothing like the 1998 version, and once again, they just decided to add in like random things into the live adaptation that were not in the original version for no apparent reason. Overall, I think with approximately 7 months until we see Halle on the big screen, playing The Little Mermaid, which I'm so excited for, it does set a larger discussion on Disney's work with Disney princesses. I'm happy that a beautiful and talented black girl like Halle is going to be playing The Little Mermaid. The plot of The Little Mermaid has no relevance to her race other than her red hair, which is what Halle will have in the film. Halle has already had so much online praise from her co-stars on Grownish, to her older namesake Halle Berry, and the producers and directors on the film. Halle is a future star, and the videos on TikTok of young black girls seeing Halle sing part of that world in the teaser trailer warms my heart. As a black girl, I'm so excited for this film. I do hope this means Disney is going to make more POC stories. I also do hope Disney doesn't think that slapping a person of color on white princesses means that is enough diversity. Um, Halle is a wonderful match for Ariel, but Disney does need to make more ethnic princesses. For example, there is yet to be a South Asian princess, there's yet to be a Black African princess, Latino, etc. So I hope that there are more ethnic princesses in the future. Yeah. Furthermore, on a positive note, we can see that on Twitter, so many fan pages have been created because of Halle, and her teaser video is currently at 23 million. 23 million views is just an insane amount of people. But yeah, I hope all of you enjoyed today's video. Halle being the Little Mermaid is so insanely exciting. I'm so excited to see what kind of president this sets going forward. It already has. On Twitter very recently, there was a discussion on whether Charitha Chadran, the South Asian actress who plays Edwina on the Netflix show Bridgerton, should play Rapunzel in the live-action Tangled. It would be fair to assume that the success and excitement surrounding Halle is why people are fan casting more people of colour actresses in future live action roles. Regardless, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I had so much fun making this video, and I hope the same was with you all watching. And yeah, just thank you all for watching, and let me know down below what you think about Halle being the Little Mermaid. Let's also talk about Aladdin, Pocahontas, Tiana, etc., and the historical inaccuracies of both films. Also, let me know your favorite Disney princess. Let's get a fun discussion going. The answer to that question is Tiana from Princess and the Frog, and I also really like Halle, who's going to be playing Princess Ariel. I also really like Rapunzel from Tangled. So those are like my top 3 favorites. But yeah, anyways, I do love every single one of you. Let me know in the comment section your opinion on Halle being Little Mermaid. Let me know your favorite Disney princess. And just leave your thoughts down below. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Check out my other videos whilst you're here. Okay, bye.